Is the Gmail inbox the new battleground for AI search visibility? Okay, so there's been a really, really interesting study released by iPullRank. This is written by Garrett Sussman, and it's all about the Gmail inbox and AI mode. Now, we have known for a long time that all of Google is interconnected and they're looking at everything. But what really gripped me about this study was how definitive the data was in terms of what is happening in your inbox and how that can influence what brands you are being recommended when using Google's AI mode.
All right, so we're basically looking to see if like a brand being mentioned in your inbox, a brand emails, like whether it's from the brand or if it's just mentioned by someone, if that has any impact in AI visibility. And that's, like you said, Google was interconnected, but that's never been a ranking factor. That is no impact on if your brand shows up in someone's inbox, that does not change your organic rankings.
No. But this is through its personal intelligence system. So this is organic in the sense that it's what it's showing you, but it's the way that it's personal. And this is just the way that we're going to go, I assume. It's just this mass personalization of responses. But it's interesting that, and almost it feels slightly invasive that it's getting that from like your inbox. Okay, so let's outline the study and then we can dive in to see the parts that we think are interesting. So the way that they did this was they set up 3 inboxes. A test inbox, an inbox that was connected to personal intelligence, and then the guy's like aged real inbox. And what they wanted to do was seed these inboxes with brand information across multiple categories. So they did coffee machines, streaming services, banks, SEO agencies, hoodies, running shoes, smartphones, productivity tools. And then into these inboxes, they would send emails across a variety of different prompt designs in order to inject that brand name within the inbox. Does that make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they've given you here the way that they've designed this seeding. So they've given you the category. Also, I think it's worth noting that they also looked at photos as well. So I guess for photos, that would be the AI is recognizing the products just from the image, I would assume, which is nuts as well. Okay, so they did a photo seed. So they must have taken a photo, the email seed, which is what they sent an email, and then the fake email seed as well. And you can see all the different brands that they picked across those different categories and across those different variables there. And then they show you an example of what the email seed looks like. So this is actually just an email that they've sent. You might actually like ratio. It's stripped down and focused on making consistently good coffee. Feels like a coffee machine you would appreciate since it does not try to do too much. So you can see there, they've just included that brand name within that email contextually within that inbox. And that is therefore ticking off the seeding of that brand within that box, within that category. Then they also did fake brand stretch tests. So they included fake brand condition to test whether the personal intelligence connected Gmail context could introduce a new brand associated into AI mode recommendations. So for each category, they created a fictional brand. So this is actually really interesting I don't know if you've seen recently on X that there's been a load of people that are able to prompt inject on the Google AI mode. There was a really, really interesting release a couple of days ago on X, guy that had managed to prompt inject. He took screenshots and he got Google AI mode to give an exact step-by-step recipe to make LSD at home. It had some like weird characters in there and it was like a bit hard to follow, but he'd done it. So in a way, this is sort of testing against that by putting some fake brands into that test to then see whether or not it can force the AI mode to recommend a brand.
Does it think through that, or does it just think like, oh, here's a brand that's been recommended to you?
Okay, so the study analyzed 1,922 AI mode responses and just over 22,000 brand level rows collected between March 30th, April 15th. Each brand level row represented a brand appearing in one AI mode response. And then if we go to the results, we can see seeded brand appearance rose from 23.9% to 66.8% in the personal intelligence connected account. So that is hugely significant. And then in the control account, it moved from 21 to 18.9. So that is the core finding. The seeded brands did not simply show up more often, they moved into more prominent positions. So top 3 placement improved from 4.5% to 24.9%, and top 10 placement from 17.7% to 54.6%. So in a personal intelligence connected account.
You didn't explain what that was. What is a personal intelligence connected account?
That is just where you allow, when you've like set up an account, I don't know
Mhm.
if you've set up a Gmail account. You can just turn on the personal intelligence settings.
So that has to be on then.
Yes,
Okay.
in order for I think most people have it on. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
on by default now, and you have to like turn it off when you sign up. But
Okay.
I've definitely got the personal intelligence
Mhm.
connected account.
Okay.
Now this is insane. So they're essentially saying that if you within your inbox, and we discussed this before we jumped on, Nick, whether or not that this would just be like contextual emails. It would also be if you're on like that brand's email list. So I get emails every week from Tesco telling me about my club card points. I just got £60 the other day, which I used on my weekly shop. So if I'm going to look for travel money options, if I'm going to look for, supermarket deals for X, Y, and Z, if I am on Tesco's newsletter, or if my mom has emailed me and said, yeah, I'm just nipping to Tesco later, I'll speak to you, this afternoon, having that brand mentioned inside of my inbox potentially means that where that brand appears in an AI mode search would appear higher from 23.9% to 66.8%, and appear much higher in that list as well. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. It almost feels invasive, but it does make sense. So if someone is recommending something to you, Google knows when they're designing these systems that like personal recommendations are extremely important, right? Most people value personal recommendations over all other recommendations. So it makes sense that they would say like, okay, well, somebody emailed them. And I don't know, do people email personal recommendations that often? I don't know. But I think about like, let's say
Just seems like an older person thing to do.
but there's some maybe like marketing newsletters maybe you'd follow, like, and if they talk about a company in there, that could influence it. I think it does make sense on the newsletter front, because if you are subscribed to a company's newsletter, that means that you must think something of the company, right? Like you must like the product or the service or the company. There's something about it. Otherwise, you would unsubscribe from the newsletter. So I think it does make a lot of sense. And as they're trying to get more personalization, anything that they can do to get to know you better, I think it's going to help shape the answer. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah. And then I think this makes sense as well, that email was far more significant than photos. Only one category was in any way significant in terms of photos, but this makes sense as they point out in the study. Like, you have so much contextual relevance from like a text-rich email. Like explicitly in the test that they did, they were explicitly recommending the brands as well in email. So actually, it would be interesting to know whether or not there does need to be that like recommendation element, or if you just said, my coffee machine's broken. And actually, I don't think we looked at I'm not sure if this study looked at negative seeded suggestions, which would be another really interesting thing to look at. But finally, the fake brands appeared after Gmail sending. Personal intelligence picked up the Gmail context. AI mode connected that Gmail context to a brand it could already understand from the web. So they looked at fake email seeded brands, and they appeared in 35.7% of relevant responses, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
So it feels like we have come so far, but we also have so far to go.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's some strategies you could maybe start to try here. One of them would not be just spamming your entire list with recommending your own product. I think that would be a bad one. But you can think about the ways you would want to put things in your content. If you look at their email example of how they said, here's something you should check out, that might be something you want to phrase. Let's say you're sending out your newsletter and you have a new product coming out or a new service. Like, that's a totally reasonable way to phrase, hey, we have a new service. You might want to check this out. You might like this because of this. It does this. Or let's think about newsletter sponsorships. Like, this is like very straightforward recommendation of, this is the product, it does this, it's for this person. versus, a lot of sponsored newsletters spots you see, they're like overly promotional, or not overly promotional. They're like marketing language, right? So I think this would be something really fascinating to test out in how you send out your own newsletters, again, without spamming people, and how you write your copy for sponsored newsletter spots.
Yeah, I think that is really, really interesting, actually. Like a whole new, like we said at the top of the video, a whole new battleground for AI visibility could be leveraging tangentially related newsletters for sponsorship in order to positively inject that like semantic phrasing, exactly like you said. Like you could get on a list of 100,000 people where you're getting into the inbox and saying, hey, you should check out this brand, this product. It's really good. You should check it out.
Mhm.
And yeah, would be incredible to see the results.
Yeah, definitely.